HOA cut my 100-year-old privacy hedge, so I built a 20-foot billboard wall. I never thought a hedge could start a war. The privacy hedge surrounding my property had stood there for over 100 years. Thick rows of towering cedar trees stretched along the boundary line, creating a natural wall between my land and the luxury HOA community that had been built next door. My grandfather planted the first section. My father expanded it, and I spent years maintaining it. The hedge wasn't just landscaping, it was family history. Then one Tuesday morning, I woke up to the sound of chainsaws. I rushed outside and nearly dropped my coffee. Half the hedge was gone. Massive sections had been cut down, leaving nothing but jagged stumps and piles of branches scattered across the ground. Workers in reflective vests were loading the remains into trucks. "What are you doing?" I shouted. One of them looked confused. "The HOA hired us." Of course, I immediately drove to their clubhouse and demanded answers. The HOA president, a woman named Karen, greeted me with a smile that made my blood boil. "Your hedge was blocking the community's scenic view," she said. I stared at her. "My hedge is on my property," she shrugged. It looked overgrown. A 100-year-old privacy barrier was, apparently, an eyesore to people who had moved. In less than 3 years earlier, Karen informed me that the board had voted unanimously to remove the portion they considered a nuisance. There was only one problem. They had removed trees entirely located on my land. I hired a surveyor the next day. The results were crystal clear. Every single tree they destroyed sat several feet inside my property line. The damage estimate came back at nearly $85,000. Mature cedar hedges aren't something you replace overnight. The HOA's attorney immediately denied responsibility. They claimed they believed the hedge belonged to the community. Then they offered me $2,000 as a goodwill gesture. I laughed so hard I nearly choked. That's when I noticed something interesting. Without the hedge, the HOA now had a direct view into my property. And my property had a direct view into theirs. An idea formed instantly. If they didn't want a hedge, I'd give them something much harder to ignore. I contacted a commercial sign company. 2 weeks later, construction began. Steel support columns were installed along the property line. Residents started asking questions. Karen started making phone calls. The board sent warning letters. I ignored every single one. 3 weeks later, the structure was complete. A 20-foot-tall billboard wall stretched across the entire length where the hedge once stood. It was perfectly legal, fully permitted, entirely on my property. The HOA erupted. The beautiful mountain view they claimed my hedge was blocking had completely disappeared. Now all they could see was a giant wall, but I wasn't finished. The billboard displayed a simple message in giant letters. This wall exists because the HOA destroyed a 100-year-old hedge. Below that sat a large photo of the chainsaw crews cutting down the trees. And below that, copies of the property survey proving the hedge belonged to me. Every resident entering the neighborhood saw it. Every visitor saw it. Every delivery driver saw it. Karen absolutely lost her mind. The board threatened lawsuits. The county inspected everything and confirmed the billboard violated no regulations. Then homeowners started asking uncomfortable questions. They wanted to know why HOA money had been spent destroying private property. They wanted to know why legal fees were piling up. And they wanted to know why their neighborhood had become famous across town for all the wrong reasons. 6 months later, the HOA settled. They paid the full damages. They paid my attorney fees. They paid for replacement landscaping, and they formally apologized. I accepted the check, but the billboard stayed. Today, replacement hedges are slowly growing back. The giant wall still stands directly behind them, and every time the HOA board drives past, they're reminded of one simple fact. If you cut down a man's 100-year-old hedge for a better view, you might end up staring at a 20-foot billboard instead.